Alright, welcome back to another episode of Simply Carifying. This is episode 33. This is another Watch Wednesday, because that's what we do. You know, there's a lot of shit. I haven't told you about all the things to watch, not watch, all that junk. Today's Watch Wednesday, though, is a little bit different. It is my Netflix shows, recommendations, things to dodge, things that are, like, recommended that I've never seen. So, we'll just dive right in. Alright, if you don't have Netflix now, why? I mean, there is a lot of their material, especially here lately, where like kids shows are kind of trying to push certain messages and things. I don't know. We kind of have a different layout for kids. They're not really into Netflix all that much. But anyway, once upon a time, Netflix was like DVD Central. This was before streaming and everything, you know, way back when. And I don't know if you ever dealt with it, but the newer movies and stuff that people were really looking forward to, they only had X amount of copies of, and like the chances of you getting your hands on it were never great, right? But you could have these discs, they came in the mail, you could have them generally as long as you wanted. You just couldn't get another one until you returned that one, and it was just a whole thing. I like the streaming better. Okay. And let's be honest, for some reason, there are more movies coming on Netflix that are more shows. There's just more for some reason. Like, I know people bitch about the price going up all the time, but they're putting out better shit on Netflix than a lot of shit that's coming out in theaters or like on a lot of other platforms. So I can get behind the price most of the time. I mean, it's annoying. Don't get me wrong. Nobody likes to pay more, especially, you know, when you're used to something for so long. But it comes with perks now. It comes with perks. So, I'm going to tell you what you should totally watch, okay? And then things that are hit or miss, right? And then we'll also get into things that are really, really good. So, they've been rated or what I just haven't seen. So, the totally watch. I'm not even going to, like, dive into everything. We're just going to go for it. Haunting of Hill House. Oh my gosh. It was a good one. I did not like the second one as much. The Bly Manor situation. It was a completely different vibe. Completely. It was not, it kind of reminded me of like American Horror Story. Like, right? The first episode was so good. And then the first season was so good. And it was something that like hadn't been done before, but then they took the success of that and they kind of went fucking nuts, right? Without really a streamlined anything. In the second one, they had Asylum, but then they kind of had like monsters, but then they kind of had like culture. Like, it's just like there's reaching. I'm pretty sure there's like some kind of alien situation. I don't know. Like, I pushed that shit out of my mind, obviously, but Haunting of Hill House was a good one. The first one, you most definitely need to. The Fall of the House of Usher. Okay. First off, if you're not an Edgar Allan Poe person, okay, the show is still going to be good. Like, if you're into that kind of, I don't want to say, I mean, there's sex, there's gore, there's mystery. It's like a thriller setup. But if you're a Poe person, you kind of know that each of the episodes kind of, you know, tailors to one of his many stories, and it's just kind of, it hits differently if you know what you're looking at. If you're just watching the show at face value, it's still really, really good. Like, it has a solid cast of characters, the storyline is great, and like, it's one of those things where you finish it knowing you're going to watch it again at some point. You know, maybe not start it over the very next day, but it's definitely on your list. It's not like a gone forever situation, okay? Ozark. Did that start on Netflix? I don't know. Ozark is one that, for being a drug show, it's like, or with drugs, I guess money laundering is the biggest thing there. Okay. I'm a Jason Bateman fan, for the most part. So when you're so used to him being in like these quirky, funny, quippy things, like that's kind of his thing, right? But when you put him into a personal or, you know, really different, serious kind of role like this, it kind of flips you a little bit. But he brings something to that's just, it's a really great series. It has some annoying characters and definitely some annoying paths that they choose to take. But I would recommend. I haven't gone through, sat back and watched it all again for a second time, but I finished the whole thing and it was like, I'm glad that I did. You know, that was one kind of like Game of Thrones where you heard about it. And by the time you started watching it, it had already been on for like seasons, you know. I think I started maybe 2 seasons in. I don't even know how many seasons there are of it. It's been a while. Breaking Bad is another one, drug one, obviously. I don't think this one started on Netflix, but it's on there now. And I don't know how long it'll be there, but if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a watch. Again, the guy, you know him from like Malcolm in the Middle, so to see him as this guy, Walter White, it's a very, very serious flip. And the role is, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of death, there's sex, there's drugs, there's a lot of, oh shit moments, right? But it's a good watch. Would I watch it again? I think we started watching it again, but then it was kind of overtaken by something else. But yeah, it's not something that I would be like, oh, that's fucking gutter trash, get it out of here. Moving on. Stranger Things. Like all good things, it had to come to an end, right? And it's good that it did when it did. I feel like they got just a little bit lazy at the end. I feel like they got a little bit too comfortable. And maybe that's because of the big gap, because of like writer strikes and whatnot. Maybe they didn't feel like they had to be as as they were the rest of the time. I don't know. Just like the earlier seasons had this sense of like, ugh, you know, just like a creep vibe. Nostalgia up the ass if you were born in the 80s, grew up in, you know what I mean? Like good things. Like so nice to see. So very like wholehearted things. And it's not even bad about slaying, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong. It slayed some good ones. Some good characters. Kind of like Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? No one was safe in that motherfucker. But it gives you, yeah, like I don't really want to go into it or whatever if you haven't seen it. Just, it's a good one to watch. I'm just saying that the end season 5, probably not going to be one of your favorites. Maybe. I don't know. That, to me. Moving on. You. Not you. The show. You. Joe Goldberg. Come on. Stalker. Lover. Book lover. Just like, if you've never wanted to be stalked, watch this movie. Watch this show. It's horrible because I know that some people are, and I don't condone that in any, you know, form or fashion. But something about this guy, the way he does the way they set the show up is just like, it's one of those, again, never really seen a show like that, and just makes you kind of think a little bit differently. It does make you feel things, and yeah, I'm not going to give it all away, but it's definitely worth a watch. I've actually seen it twice, and that's another one though where the ending is kind of like, really? That's like, of all the things that you've done, that's what you let me walk away with? That's what you're putting me to bed with? But it can't all be. It can't all be, you know, great all the time. Sex Education is not one that I have seen like broadcasted, or even like, it's not one of the ones, you don't see it like Stranger Things or You or whatever. Like there's no big promos or anything. This is like across the pond, comedy, drama, like it had a lot of stuff. Okay. And it's kind of weird because you see, like, you know, some of the characters in it from other things, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this is obviously a little bit different angle than what we're used to seeing you in, but hey, it is a good show. A lot of good storylines, a lot of like, damn, it's a look into definitely high school situations and kids and sex and a bunch of stances on a bunch of different things. So if you haven't seen it, most definitely, totally worth a watch. I think I've seen that 1.5 times. I didn't finish it all the second time, but again, something took its place and it got backburned. So not horrible, but it's not deleted, gone forever. So there you go. Monsters. Monster? Yeah. There are three different versions of this thus far. The first one was Dahmer. I'm an Evan Peters fan, so even though it's a disturbing situation, and if you've never seen, see, this is the problem. A lot of people that had the most issue with this show, right, or the people who blew it out anyway, they know nothing about anything. They only know the sensationalized versions of everything. This is not the first fucking thing there is on Dahmer, period. You know, there are books, catalogs, movies, shows, tapes, like, do your research and like go back and you can get into all kinds of things. This just kind of took a very cinematic angle, used a fantastic actor, and like let you kind of get that perspective, which again, this is not for everybody. Not for everybody. I want to say my sister started it and she didn't even make it past the first episode. Fine, you know, to each their own. This is stuff that I typically get into anyway, and so to see a different angle of it was very interesting to me. This is my Netflix list. Kara's Netflix list, okay? I'm not saying like watch it or die kind of deal. I'm just saying that I enjoyed it. The next one was the Menendez brothers. This one I actually watched with my daughter, my 17-year-old, and we liked it actually. That's another one where as soon as it came out, all of these, you know, they're innocent and da-da-da. For people who only watch the entertainment angle of anything, they just think all of these things like, Anyway, it's definitely worth a watch. Again, there's other stories, documentaries, all that on the brothers. There's still, you know, I think both of them, actually, I think this aired last year. Or maybe even the year before, last year, one of those. But I think after that, they tried to do like a bid for parole or whatever. Both were denied back to back. Like one was one day, the next was the next day. Both were denied. So if you don't know anything about the crime, if you don't know anything about their story, it's definitely worth a watch or read, whatever. But this was a good show. Again, good actors, good story, set up cinematic wise. So the newest installment of Monster was Ed Gein, and if you know nothing about him, I mean, have you ever watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Psycho or anything? He was definite inspiration for that, which they also dive into in this, which was a fascinating story because not many people know that angle. So it's one of those things, if you don't know anything about him, again, this is not the first publication covering his views or, you know, viewpoints or whatever, but again, an interesting fucking watch, to say the least. Now, of the three, my favorite, somebody actually asked me this the other day. Ed is not my favorite. All right, that one was my favorite. It's a toss-up between the Menendez brothers and Dahmer for my favorite. And I want to say story-wise, just Netflix side, right? Totally appreciate that the crimes are real and everything else, but story-wise, Netflix-wise, probably, I don't know. It's a toss-up. It's definitely a toss-up. All right, moving on. Love on the Spectrum. Let's totally get away from what we're talking about. Love on the Spectrum. They have two different versions of this, actually. I think one is Australia and the other one's here in America, so it is a totally endearing show. So sweet to watch. Amazing to see different people connecting on so many levels, like, and just to see the realness of it, because a lot of dating shows, they try to sidestep feelings. This situation is not like that. So there are plenty of, you know, characters with charming, memorable moments. It's a nice show. It's a nice, wholehearted show. Outlast is a survival show. Let me see. I believe like 8 people are dropped off, like some, or it might even be more than that. Dropped off like by themselves, and then they have to eventually find other people, and then it's like, are we together? Are we not together? Like, And whoever survives gets X amount of money after so many, it's basically like the last people standing kind of deal, or make it to a certain point. If you're into any kind of survival show, this is definitely interesting. There's some backstabbing, there's some sabotaging, there's some funky ass alliances and just straight up crazy people. So definitely worth a watch. Let's see. Damsel was a movie. Millie Bobby Brown. There's a dragon. I mean, it's a pretty fair story that we've all heard, right? It's fairly predictable and whatnot, but it does have some interesting ways about it. I don't know. After seeing her in, Stranger Things for years and years and years, it's good to see her in a different kind of role, I guess. And even though it is predictable, there are some parts that are just so fucking satisfying that it's like, so it's a good movie. I'm not gonna, spoil it for you, but go ahead and give it a watch if you have nothing else to do. I would watch it again. I have watched it again. So yeah. Wednesday, the series Wednesday, something that so many people look forward to. It blew up Netflix. It completely crashed everything when season 2 finally came out. I'm going to say that the top English language series to date is still Wednesday season 1 with 252.1 million views, beating out Stranger Things even, I believe. Well, at least season 4. Season 5, nope, even season 5 falls below that. So yeah, so Wednesday, for some reason they just sold it right. Tim Burton, if you're a fan, like it just worked. Whatever he was trying to do to get that out there, it worked. Now I know, like my kids, they see Jenna Ortega and they're just like, oh my god, her again? Don't they have anybody else? Can't we just like see anyone else in a movie? She's in all this stuff. Okay, because she's like the person, okay? It's totally fine. It's just the time that we're in. No big deal. They wouldn't even sit down to watch it. A lot of it, though. Now, the hide in there, the bad guy. I know that, to go along, get along situation, you kind of have to roll with the times. And if CGI stuff is like what's available as opposed to older techniques and different flashy things, if it makes more sense in editing or cost-wise. But there are some things that churn out some goofy characters, right? That are supposed to be like, that just don't hit probably like they should. But other than that, the storyline's good. The characters are good. A lot of them. Some of them are like, bitch. But yeah. Okay, so that is my definitely totally watch list. There are some other shows and things that are hit or miss. And I've got a handful. And that's not even putting in any fucking brain power. It's just kind of like, if you want to watch it, fine. If you don't, fine. You know what I mean? First off, did I say K-pop Demon Hunters at first? Okay, this is on the Totally Watch one. This is probably, I believe, this might be the most watched thing on Netflix. Let me see. K-pop Demon Hunters ranking on Netflix. Think about it. Number 1 most watched movie of all time on Netflix. No fucking pressure. But the animated musical phenomenon has amassed over 325.1 million views, officially dethroning the longtime record holder Red Notice, which I also did not watch. But, yes, most watched ever. Even beat out Squid Games, which is the most watched series with 265.2 million. That's not English speaking, okay? Because Wednesday is. But, audience have spent over 541 million hours streaming the film. And I am responsible for at least a third of that. I'm just kidding. But I have seen it several times. And honestly, I am not a K-pop person. I live in a house with a tweenager and a teenager who both idolize and everything that is Stray Kids. I even took them to the concert last year. And oh my god, it is like a totally other world. But This, for some reason, was the one thing where they said, hey, Mom, you should watch this. And it's like, here we go. This is what I'm expecting in the beginning. Here we fucking go. Another K-pop, whatever. Here we go. Okay, fine. I loved all the songs. Your Idol, my God. I listened to that bitch in the car. I mean, I listened to several in the car, let's be honest. Just like the whole movie. Yes, I cry every time. Like it makes me feel a certain way because it's about 3 girls, and I've got 4 daughters. It just makes me feel like I'm broken. So I get all the feels anyway. But it is definitely, if you haven't fucking watched it, you're living under a goddamn rock. You need to just get out of there and go watch it. I've made my mom watch it. I've made friends watch it. Family. Like, I am not someone who's like, hey, K-pop, check this out. No, but I have. Multiple times. So, going on. All right, now we'll jump back to the hit or miss list. Love is Blind. There are some seasons. This is one where you watch purely for the drama, right? Nobody watches this and hopes people fall in love blindly. No. You want these people on opposite sides of the wall to be so fucking rare when they get out there. Like, okay, I take that back. I'm sure there are some wholehearted romantics out there just rooting for the best and hoping everything works out and turns into this beautiful love story. Blech. No, I want the drama. I want them to feel this kind of way with a wall in between them and then like awkward as fuck out in the real world. That's what I like. And sometimes this show delivers and sometimes it's just very predictable, very meh, and just And now they took it and like did it in every fucking country possible, it seems like. Sweden, Brazil, like there's just Love is Blind, all kinds of things. So whatever you're into, I'm sure they got your country in there. Go ahead and check it out and yeah, hit or miss. Lock and Key was another one that seemed interesting, but kind of went on maybe a season longer than it could have, should have. I don't know. It was just kind of like it's not really like I need to watch this. It's kind of like it's here and I don't have anything else right now. So, it is what it is. Same with Umbrella Academy. God damn did I want to love Umbrella Academy. I really, really did. I really, really did. And for a while, I did like it. Klaus is my favorite, by the way. Always wanted to start a cult. Maybe one day. Oh, my mom's proud somewhere. Anyway, it just got to where the storyline kind of flailed and faltered, and the ending, fucking gutter trash horse manure pile. Ugh, I don't, like, why? My God. Anyway, moving on. Hit or miss. I mean, whatever. If you want to watch it, fine. If you don't, whatever. You will not be affected, I swear. Black Mirror. The very first episode is not one that should set you up for the show. I had someone say, you really need to watch Black Mirror. You really need to watch it. And again, I started this a couple seasons, after it had already been out for a while. And I'm like, fine, I'll start it. So me being a fucking idiot puts on episode 1, season 1. And I didn't watch it again for quite some time. Thinking that was kind of like the theme. I'm not going to get into it because I was never given any kind of heads up or warning or anything like that. So yeah, there are some episodes that I actually thoroughly enjoy and that I've actually seen multiple times. But starting off from the jump, that's a fucked up way to go. And that's all I'm going to say. So moving on. Love, Death, and Robots. Another kind of anthology of a bunch of smaller episodes. Fine, it's got a couple seasons and some of them are really cool looking and some of them are just like, what the fuck? What did you smoke and why? And how long did this take and why? Hit or miss. Not a detrimental storyline or anything else. Some of the things are really cool. Some of them are like, really? But hey. Orange is the New Black. Remember when that was a thing? Remember when that was so funny and like you couldn't wait until the next season came on because it was just great because it was like, and then like it kept going and going and going and the same characters you wanted to like punch in the face. You still wanted to punch in the face or wish they just fall off somewhere. I don't know what season it was that actually just like kind of sealed it for me. Like I did watch the whole thing, but like, no, I'm a Wentworth person when it comes to like women's prisons. You know what I mean? Wentworth that was a show. Sadly, it's not on Netflix anymore. God damn it. It was for the longest, and it's an Australian show, so it's probably not coming back. But it fucking should. It was amazing. So if you're in the area where you can pull up Wentworth, definitely give that one a check out. It's not on Netflix anymore, so whatever. Ugh, horrible. I am big into, this is our last section. We're going to wrap it up real quick. But I am big into documentaries, okay? Netflix is not always my first to go when it comes to like, I say like true crime documentaries too. Usually I hit up Discovery Plus because, you know, you got your pretty solid thing. Even Paramount has a couple here lately, but Netflix is not my first. It wasn't my first thing. Now I give it a fair shake because it actually has produced several documentaries that I've watched, that I've seen, that I've, you know, found interesting or different in some form or fashion. So, Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter was one. Okay, I'm not even going to get into Don't Fuck with Cats. It's a really weird title. It definitely is a hook. And it's definitely an insane documentary to watch. It's a very short series. So like if you have an afternoon, do it. Right? If you're a true crime person. Tiger King, of course. Fucking train wreck with a eyebrow ring holding on for dear life. Interesting, though. Interesting. Definitely gives you a weird look into another world. The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker. Again, another title. You're like, what the fuck? But you should, yeah. Lover, Stalker, Killer. It's a good one. Disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Keep Sweet, Pray, Obey. Sins of Our Mother. Unknown Number. High School Catfish. Jesus Christ, that was a fucking... Woo! I have never been so fucking angry, I don't think. Watching that shit, it was... I don't want to spoil it for you. I do. That might have to be its own fucking episode at one point. Because, woof! Crazy shit. Crazy shit. Okay. The newest one that I've seen on there was Kidnapped, the Elizabeth Smart story, which, again, this is not the first coverage of her. It's not, you know, it's not something that's brand new. It's just something that she puts in her own spin, and it kind of leads up to, like, her being gone. That 9 months, 11 months, whatever it was. So, yeah. They have a series called American Murder, and they kind of do a lot of things through different video outlets, like Ring doorbells, body cams, different angles, trying to put this whole thing together. And the ones I've seen on there are Gabby Petito and Family Next Door with Chris, the fuckface, whatever his last name is. Horrible. Like, all of these are horrible, right? But they're done so well on Netflix. Like, I really, it is a solid look for me now. When I never gave it a fair shot back in the day, but so glad that I went back and actually discovered that section. It's a solid section if you're a true crime person, especially. So this has been my Netflix, and we've stretched it out to a good bit of time. So now I think it's time to wrap it up. There's always something missing. Like, as soon as I turn this off, I'll think of like 3 other shows that I'm like, damn, I should have said that. But I think I've given you a very good list. Some, you know, if you have like time to kill or fill or whatever, you know, it is what it is. So with that, I hope you have an excellent rest of your day, weekend, whatever coming up, and just know that it's still cold outside, plenty of time to catch up and binge. So kick your feet up, grab that remote, and if you don't have Netflix, for fuck's sake, come on, just get Netflix. What the fuck? All right, with that, have a good one.